was a couple years ago. You can be seated for a second. A couple years ago, we started having this idea about having some friends over to our house, and for years I had so many wonderful guys that have played behind me and behind my voice, but allowing community to have their own voice and to play behind their voice. So we started this idea of Goodland Band music, and just to do it a few times here and there. And it also, we did a record just called Family Music that's all allowing our children to have a voice, because we're so, I've been pro-life my whole life, obviously, from my testimony, alone, but it's one thing to be pro-life and to fight for the children to actually be born. It's another thing to actually celebrate the lives that are with us. And so I started just writing songs with my kids and not dictating to them what we write, but letting them dictate and listening to their voices. Like one day when I was riding down the street with my son, we just saw this dog sticking his head out of a car, and my son said, "Hey, Dad, look at that dog sticking out his head." And I said, "Uh-huh." And I said, "Hey, that'd be a great song. Look at that dog sticking out his head." My son said, "Uh-huh." So then we wrote the day down, see? I was riding on my bike with my boy one day. We were riding so fast when a dog drove past. We were nose to nose for a mile or so. So we raced the dog, My son said to me, he said, "Look at that dog sticking out his head." Uh-huh. So we wrote a bunch of songs like that, Because my kids, they love, they love to sing worship songs. My son's favorite song that I've written is my least favorite, but it's his favorite, Freedom. He wants to listen to it all the time. He loves it, and he dances around to it, and he thinks it's so awesome. And he loves it and all. But he doesn't write that. And man, I'll tell you, when I started singing the songs my kids were writing, some of the most non-religious folks got real religious. So anyway, we started recording that music anyway, because we do what the Lord tells us to do, and I wish I could tell you that people liked it, but they didn't, and that's okay. But what's really awesome is that while we're doing it, it was such a blessing. And in the time, we had these 3 outdoor cats, and one of the cats' name's the Shadow. And while we were recording, some almonds got dropped outside, and the cat, Shadow, Lucy's cat, ate the almond, and the almond somehow got stuck. I mean, we didn't know it, but it got stuck in its digestive system, and so the cat was real sick one morning after that recording session, and my daughter Emma comes running into the house and says, "Dad, you got to come out and check out Shadow. There's something really wrong with this cat." with him, and she's starting to cry about it. And so I go out and I look at the cat, and I said, there's something definitely wrong with Shadow, because I can tell that Shadow's about ready to die, and it's just vomiting, and it's sick to talk about this stuff, but it's just the way it was. And so I said, well, you know what we need to do? We need to take this cat to the vet. So we took the cat to the vet, and the kids got out of school, so they were pumped, and so we go to the vet, and the vet says, there's definitely something wrong with this cat, but we didn't know it was the almond yet. I kind of did, and so we leave the cat there. We go home. The kids are real concerned. We pray for the cat, and then that night we're eating dinner, and the phone rings, and Rachel picks up the phone, and I can tell it's the vet, and Rachel's pretty excited, and she says, she gets off the phone, and she says, guys, I'm really excited to tell you, Shadow's going to be fine. And the kids go, yes! And they're, you know how it is. Your parents, right? Some of you are. And it's like, they're screaming, woohoo! And Rachel, I said, well, what was the problem? And she said, well, yeah, the Shadow got a little almond stuck in its like digestive system, and so just a little small surgery, and they can take that out, and it'll be fine. Now, these are outdoor cats. I mean, this was like a stray cat, you know what I mean, that we took in and everything.